What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 72, and we're starting today's episode off on the back of the absolute thrilling FA Cup semi-final victory over Spurs, where we're into the FA Cup final for the first year as Chelsea manager, and on the back of the draw with Liverpool and the big win over Manchester City. 5 games to go, 6 points clear, game in hand. If we win 2 of our final 5 and draw the other one, we will be Premier League champions. We look at our final 5 fixtures as well, all what you'd call very favourable fixtures there, including of course the FA Cup final, which is sandwiched in between the final run, and you know my thoughts on that. I just real briefly on this, the reason why I don't like that is because I guess I am a bit of a traditionalist, but I've always believed that the FA Cup should be the final game of the domestic season. You know, the Cup should be the final game of the domestic season, because everyone talks about how the Cup is being diminished in terms of reputation. The FA Cup is the oldest competition in football history, the oldest pro competition in football history, and everyone talks about how, you know, its reputation over the years is being diminished and it's no longer as coveted as it used to be. Some people believe in it, especially in the earlier rounds, a chance to rest the starters, especially for the big teams. So I really don't see how bringing it forward to before the final Premier League games have been played helps that reputation. I think it worsens it, if I'm being totally honest here. You know, so I really do believe that if the FA Cup is going to be taken, not necessarily more seriously, but it's going to get its reputation back, if you will, making it the final game of the domestic calendar season in football, it's probably a way to make it more reputable, because it's the final game you'll see domestically. It's the big one, you know. Having it played a couple of games before the Premier League season is over sort of shows that the Premier League is more prioritised, if you will, especially if you've got the big teams going for it in the FA Cup final. Like we'll see this year with Liverpool and Chelsea meeting, for example, with Liverpool going for the title. Having the FA Cup coming before the final Premier League games makes it feel as though the Premier League would be more prioritised for Liverpool, and perhaps it would be. It's modern day football, of course, and there's a lot more prize money to be gained by winning the Premier League than there is by winning the FA Cup. But yeah, personally, I think that's one of the reasons why when people talk about the reputation of the FA Cup being diminished over the past decade or so, things like playing it before the final Premier League games doesn't help in my book. It really doesn't. Even so, for the first game of today's episode here, as we are currently just a few wins away from the Premier League title, it seems now, after our big win at the Etihad Stadium, our draw at Anfield, we're now going 6 points clear with a game in hand as well. The title is going to be ours. But guys, in today's episode, all I'll tell you is this, no spoilers, but watch until the very end. So we start off with Leeds United at Ellen Road, very feisty affair. Jesse Marsh's side right now in the bottom 3, and it seems very likely they're going to go down bar a miracle. Well, they almost got the start of the Great Escape in this one. Yep, final score here at Ellen Road was 1-1. We opened the scoring through Mason Mount. Dan James, the former Red Devil, levelled it. And had it not been for Edouard Mendy late on, we would have tasted our first defeat in 10 games in all competitions. Yeah, best run of form of the season for Chelsea. And it was almost ended by Leeds. A draw at Ellen Road, a little slip up there. We're still, of course, top of the table despite the draw. But, as you'll see come the end of the game, look at this. Manchester City closing the gap to 4 points, beating Southampton, our former team at St Mary's. We still have the game in hand. We still had a better goal difference record. But the board decided to schedule a poor performance review meeting. They said my position at the club is currently under close observation because of the fact our recent results haven't been the best. And I was like, what? 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 We just got to the FA Cup final. We just beat Man City at the Etihad and drew at Anfield with a backup team. We just drew at Leeds, yes, fair enough, but we're 4 points clear with a game in hand. And there's only 4 games to go. And all we got to do is win 3 of them, and we're Premier League champions. I've got an FA Cup final in a couple of weeks, guys. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Why are you doing this to me now? Why are you threatening me with the sack now? I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was thinking, do you know what? Okay, following game, Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge, draw against Leeds away, draw against Liverpool at Anfield, back to West London for this game here. And if we beat Steven Gerrard's side and Man City fail to match our result, we will be champions. And Manchester City are away at Anfield. So if Klopp can do us a favour there and best Guardiola once again, we will be champions of the Premier League. So I thought, do you know what? Forget about that performance review meeting being scheduled. The board haven't loved me since day one, man. They gave me the big budget, but very tough objectives. We know the Chelsea job is a very tough one to have. Your window is very short, but the board have never taken to me here at Stamford Bridge. I'm not loved here, at least not yet. So I thought, do you know what? Okay. Best way to shut someone up is doing it with your actions and not with your words. So following game, Aston Villa, back in West London, I thought, right, let's win the title. Let's hope Klopp can deliver against Guardiola, and let's win the championship this afternoon. 2-0 up inside the opening half an hour. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mr. Reliable with both, and then 35 minutes in, we got our third. Tammy Abraham, he scored a brace at Villa Park, scores once again against one of his former lonely teams. Funnily enough here, I tried to show the respect. I didn't press the circle button twice, I pressed it once. That's why we didn't show respect there. But even so, we're 3-0 up on Aston Villa, absolutely cruising. Job done, no doubt about it. And in stoppage time, a chance to make it 4. This was really cool. The bench boys off the bench, Jong Sang-bin to Marcus Thuram, to his brother Kefren Thuram for his first goal since the long-term injury he got, as the Thuram brothers link up alongside Jong Sang-bin. Our bench boys coming off the bench to wrap the game up. Chelsea 4, Aston Villa 0. I was looking up at the board in the stands and saying, yeah, you can threaten me with a sack all you like, but I'm going to win the title with Chelsea, and I've taken you boys to the FA Cup final in season 1. It's my third FA Cup final in 3 years. You don't believe in me? The players do, the fans do, and come the final whistle, we had it confirmed. The celebrations on the pitch, the celebrations in the stand. The board might not be impressed, but I am. Chelsea's unbeaten run extended to 11 in all competitions. A big 4-0 demolition job against Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. And there we go. News must have filtered through that Liverpool beat Manchester City, because these celebrations began instantaneously. Final score, Chelsea 4, Aston Villa 0. And it is job done in West London. At least half done. Yep, we were asked to win a domestic double. We're into the FA Cup final. We got Arsenal. They've had a great record over the past decade in that competition, as we know. But at least this is confirmed. Premier League champions. And can you just say this is history repeating itself? Do you remember back in 2016, 2017, Chelsea were champions under Antonio Conte? And one of the reasons why they managed to win the title that season is because they didn't have European football. If you remember the previous year when Leicester had that fairy tale win, Chelsea of course got off that horrendous start in the season, changed their manager halfway through, infamously as we remember, and of course they failed to qualify for European competition. In the following season, not having those European games helped them rest and recover a lot quicker than they would had they had midweek European nights at Stamford Bridge. I guess it's history repeating itself. No European competitions this year. We had more rest time, we had more recovery time, and I believe that was beneficial to us winning the title this year. So there we go, Kante lifting it aloft as we are Premier League winners with Chelsea in West London. Absolutely buzzing. The board not impressed, but it's my first ever Premier League winners medal, and I've got it in my first season with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. No doubt about it, deserved to win, absolutely dominated. I really wanted to get the job done. I really felt as though I needed to shut the board up after they gave me that performance review scheduled meeting. The only problem is, whilst we'd won the Premier League title with the win there against Aston Villa and lifted the title in front of our home fans in West London as we were champions, we weren't. What? So, Liverpool lost at Anfield to Manchester City. Sorry, it was at Etihad, 2-1, even so. And it means the gap remains at 4 with 3 games to go. Man City have got 2 games to go. And, my maths is pretty poor. But it's not that poor. Manchester City can still be crowned champions. If they win back-to-back, they'll leapfrog us on points. So, the board once again wished to inform me that my position at the club is currently under close observation. And my confidence, or their confidence in me, has been undermined by recent results. We're on a 12-game unbeaten run, and yet the board still aren't satisfied. And we've just lifted the trophy, even though we're not the champions. And I was like, Come on, EA. I mean, seriously, like, come on. I mean, what is this? Daniel Levy, is he now in charge of Chelsea when he sacked Jose Mourinho a week before the EFL Cup final? Of course, Ryan Mason took interim charge for that game there. What, are Chelsea going to do the same right before the FA Cup final on the weekend? They're going to replace me? Seriously? I mean, come on. It's just... And what really frustrates me as well is that, you know, I talked about it before, this save is all about realism. I'm doing my absolute best to keep it as realistic as possible. And I will say, I think I'm doing a decent job. You know, of course, as I mentioned before, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'll make decisions. I'll make signings that potentially you might think aren't the most realistic. But for the most part, I think I'm doing a decent job, and I have done since the save began. But if you remember at the very start of the series, I talked about how there are certain things that are out of my control. And I can't control everything, and obviously there are certain things that will happen which are unrealistic, like Southampton's clear out in January, for example, which I've got no control over. And those Premier League celebrations were, I mean, as fitting as it gets. We lifted the trophy at Stamford Bridge on the weekend, but we weren't champions yet. And I mean, okay, alright, the likelihood is there's 3 games to go. All we need is 1 win in our final 3 games. And we've got Burnley, who are rock bottom of the table and already relegated. West Ham, okay, tough game there. And also Brentford the Bees in a West London derby at home as well. The likelihood is we're going to win one of those final 3 games. We are going to be champions. We lifted the trophy before it's even been mathematically confirmed. I mean, how arrogant is that? Seriously. But yeah, I do apologise for that, because I know it breaks up the realism and the immersion as well. But again, this is why I talked about before. FIFA career mode at times is almost impossible to maintain its realistic aspect. And there are a lot of things you can't control, like that. So, yeah, just one of those things, unfortunately. But even so, if we beat Burnley on Tuesday night, our final game for the FA Cup final, we would be champions. I rested most of my team with the character right now rock bottom and already relegated with a horrendous record in the Premier League this season. But I did have some starters out there. We took the lead through one of them, Tammy Abraham scoring the opener, and then 12 minutes after the restart, where Burnley had given me a couple of nervy moments, if I'm being honest. Edouard Mendy bailing me out a couple of times, not for the first time this season. We would double our lead, and everyone around Stamford Bridge breathed a sigh of relief. Ousmane Dembele, the former Barca and Dortmund winger, stepping inside. Lovely couple of skill moves and a finish to match as well. Chelsea 2, Burnley 0. Job's going to be done in midweek, and whilst we might have lifted the trophy on the weekend arrogantly before we'd even got it confirmed, it was going to be mathematically guaranteed come the end of this game. Leading by 2, 9 minutes to go. Oh, it's party time. It's party time. I didn't want to spoil this moment, but it's one of my best goals in FIFA 22. Ousmane Dembele with a scorpion kick. Yep, my first of the save. Absolutely glorious from the French forward. Stormed down the right-hand side. Dinked it into the middle. And it's so funny because Jong Sang Bin was the dummy runner in this. Once I saw Dembele totally unmarked to the far post, I was trying to cross it in for a header. It was a little bit under hit though and behind him, so Dembele had to readjust his body. I didn't even mean to do it. That's the funny thing. But a glorious scorpion kick, my first of the save. And it really is party time in West London. Final score, Chelsea 3, Burnley 0. And for the board, I tell you one thing right now. You can threaten me with a sack. I know you've never loved me. I know you've never taken to me. The players have and the fans have as well. 3-0, final score. Tammy won, a brace for Dembele. And I was thinking, come the final whistle, are we going to do it again? Are we going to lift the trophy again? We just did it on Saturday. Are we going to do it again? Now it's mathematically confirmed. As you'll see, we did celebrate in the end, but didn't lift the trophy again. That would be overkill, wouldn't it? I mean, seriously, like, the fans got to see it on Saturday. Let's not do it again on a rainy Tuesday night. The fans want to get home. It's late, you know, it's 10 p.m. They're shattered. Don't need to lift the trophy again. And as you'll see, we didn't in the end. It was ridiculous how we lifted it before it even been confirmed as champions. But even so, it's over. The 3-0 win at Burnley on the back of the win against Aston Villa as well. Unbeaten run now extended to 12 in all competitions. Dembele's man of the match display ensures that mathematically, despite the glitch, despite the bug, we are now, for guaranteed, Premier League champions. 7 points clear, 2 games to go. It is over, and Chelsea are champions of the Premier League. With the board threatening me with those performance review meetings being scheduled before we'd even lifted the Premier League title, before we'd had the FA Cup final, my job might hinge on what happens in our very next game. My manager rating has dropped to 52. I still haven't had that win league title objective completed yet. For some strange reason, the board seem instead of doing everything they can to give themselves a reason to sack me. And my job might depend on the very next game. FA Cup final against Arsenal as we chase the domestic double, win it, and I think I'm going to be safe. But lose it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the board don't even let me see out the season despite winning them the Premier League. This Chelsea team, I mean, I tell you, I've done a great job, at least I thought so. The board think differently. My job might depend on the very next game. Have a great day, guys. Much love to you all, and I'll see you for the next episode, the penultimate one of Season 4, and our first season with Chelsea, the FA Cup final against Arsenal, chasing the domestic double, where my job might depend on a win, and I'll see you for it very soon.